Hi, my name's Tony DeSorbo, and I'm with Manning & Napier Advisors. And I have the pleasure today of introducing our keynote speaker, Jim Boeheim. Really, before I say that, though, talk about Jim, I just want to say how proud I am and how honored I am to be here. I'm one of the original Start Fast investors from 7 years ago. It's been an incredible experience. And Manning & Napier, we are a traditional asset management firm here in upstate New York, so we're kind of the antithesis of this, all right? So it's been great for me to kind of get an experience with startup investing. Really, Jim doesn't need any introduction, right? I mean, if there was a Mount Rushmore of college basketball coaches, Jim Boeheim would be on it. He's one of the winningest coaches of all time. He's one of only two that has 1,000 victories in his career. He's been to 5 Final Fours. He's won the national championship in 2003. He's been a part of a staff that's won 3 Olympic gold medals for USA basketball. And he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2005. The statistics go on and on and on, but that's not really what I wanted to focus on today. When you get a chance to know Jim a little bit, like I have had a chance over the last decade or so, what you realize about him quickly is coaching is very important to Jim. Winning is very important to Jim, but it doesn't define him. What defines Jim is his love of his family and his love of this community. And I can tell you that I believe he's here today with us because Start Fast embodies everything that Syracuse basketball is about. Okay, you want to recruit great talent, you want to bring it in, you want to mentor it, you want to turn it into a great team, you want to show them a path to success and lead them there, and if you're really lucky, you want to retain that talent here in Central New York. Jim has done that with his current staff. If you look at the assistant coaches that are currently working for Jim on the Hill, Adrian Autry, Jerry McNamara, and Alan Griffin are all of the assistant coaches, played here on the Hill, went away, and came back ultimately to be part of our community. Okay? Same thing's happening here with Start Fast. If you look at our head coaches at Start Fast, Nasser, Chuck, James, and Martin, they have been able to do the same things that Jim's been able to do. They've been able to create an accelerator here in Little Central New York that is world class, okay? And the teams that have been out here today, just like the players on Jim's team, have done a great job of representing those coaches very well. Now I want to talk about one last thing with Coach, and that's the organization that he's built here in Central New York. And that organization isn't just Syracuse basketball. More importantly, it's the Jim and Julie Boeheim Foundation. Okay, after years of using his business skills to drive fundraising for Coaches vs. Cancer, he and Julie raised over $4.5 million for the local chapter of the American Cancer Society. After doing that, in 2009, they created their own foundation, the Jim and Julie Boeheim Foundation, and they continue to relentlessly raise money, fight cancer, and help mentor young people here in Central New York. I can tell you that I'm very proud that my firm and I have been able to work with Jim, his family, and his foundation throughout that time. I also can tell you from personal experience that Jim Boeheim loves investing, okay? He's a savvy investor, and he loves entrepreneurship, especially when he can invest in something that, yes, makes money, but just as importantly, creates growth here in Central New York. So without further ado, let me introduce to you a winner, a savvy investor, and somebody who has given his life to bettering this community, Coach Jim Boeheim.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be here. Limping a little bit. Walked home, walked into the garage, tore my calf muscle. It's hard to do that without even There was no drinking involved. But not used to talking in the summertime. I try to avoid talking in the summertime. I have to talk to certain people in the wintertime, but ostensibly the people that question me or ask me questions in the wintertime say they're doing it for all of you. They're trying to inform all of you. I'd like to tell them, just listen to my radio show, watch me on television, I'll tell you exactly what is going on here, not what you think is going on here. But it's fun. It's fun. People think I don't like the media. I do like the media. I like to play around with them. You know, this isn't my quote. Bobby Knight once said, we all learn to write when we're 3 or 4 years old, and then we go on to something that requires some intelligence. That's not my quote. I'm an investor, not always a smart investor, but I invest in local enterprises, and it's like all the investments you make. Some of them, turn out all right. You make a little money. Some of them you get your money back, and some of them you don't get your money back. But I like to invest locally in different things that are, good, I think, for Syracuse. I came here 56 years ago. I struggled that first year. I thought I wasn't good enough. I thought I wasn't going to make it. And I remember I called home, and we had a great player here when I was a freshman, the best player I ever played at Syracuse. Before that or after that, since that. And every day he just would kill me in practice. And I remember calling home and telling my mother, I said, this guy's just too good. And she said, well, what about the other guys? I said, well, maybe I can play with them. She said, well, then you'll be okay. She was 100% right. I got to be better than the other guys. But, I've been just lucky to be in a small town that loves basketball. They love Syracuse basketball because we win, partially, They love... Coach, we're with you, win or win. But, I tell all young coaches, I said, don't worry about anything. Don't worry about the press. Don't worry about fans. Don't worry about anything. Just win and you'll be okay. And you can do everything else perfectly, and you don't win, you won't be here. So just remember that. It's good for business, too. Remember that in business. And, everybody thinks their business is hard. I know, my business can be hard, difficult at times, but everybody's business is hard. It's just, when I make a mistake, 28,000 people tell me. Immediately. So, but, we've had great run. You get great players. It's like in business. You get great people working for you. You're going to be successful. I've had great coaches, and I've had great players. And, without that, you have very little success. I remember when I was a fresh sophomore, Syracuse lost 32 straight games when we came here. So we were the class that was going to change this around. And we had our first scrimmage at Boston College, and we weren't very good. We were pretty young. We were still trying to figure it out. And the coach, who was a tough coach, tough guy, really tough guy. I wouldn't say tough love, because love had nothing to do with what he said. So, but we made a few bad plays, and he called us over in the huddle, and he says, he's tried to say some things, and we were like going, who's got this? I don't know. No, I don't have. And he just looked at us and said, like, you just can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit. I said, oh, okay. That was 55 years ago. I still remember like it just happened right now. But, he turned it around. He got the program turned around. We won. And we've been fortunate to, we haven't had a losing season since I've been here, and we're the longest streak of that kind in college basketball. We've been we've been very, very fortunate that way, and to be able to have a foundation, and we've raised over $6 million since we started and given out $3 million in the last 7 years. So we've been very, very fortunate to be able to do that. We have a gala. Coaches around the country try to have a gala. They get 200 people and they raise $50,000. We get 800 people and we raise $600,000. So we're able to put back into groups in this community an average of $600,000 a year, and we just do it to boys and girls clubs, any group that works with kids. We fund a pediatric cancer researcher at Upstate. So we're able to do all that because we have tremendous support. Unlike any program in the country in terms of charitable support, we're far and away, way far and away better than anybody else. And it's because of the people here that support us. When we do something, we immediately have people that volunteer, that donate. So we've been very, very lucky in that way. College basketball is everybody looks at the tournament, and I never used to like that, except we've been shitty the last 4 or 5 years in the regular season, and we've had great tournaments. So I'm now starting to like that idea of you're basically judged on the tournament in college basketball. I don't think it's right, and we don't really like not having great regular seasons. But if you're going to have one or the other, you want to have a great tournament. As last year we were the last team in the tournament, and a lot of people questioned whether we should have been that team even. But when we got in, we played great basketball in a lot of ways and got to the Sweet 16, and had to beat really one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the country, Michigan State, in Detroit. So, but our players just didn't think about what they're supposed to do, and that's what you try to get as a coach. You try to get your players to think that anything's possible. We all do think that, but do we really believe it? And that's the difference, because when you get out there on the court, there's no hiding, there's no excuses, there's nothing you can look to except for you and your teammates. We didn't have a whole lot of those guys last year. We had 6 or 7 guys. And but what stood out to me in that whole tournament, our starting point guard committed probably 2 of the dumbest fouls I've ever seen in the history of college basketball within 3 seconds of each other. And he hadn't fouled out of a game all year. So we played 37, 38 games, hasn't fouled out. And we had to go with a guy who worked very hard, who never was in a meaningful game in his time at Syracuse. Good athlete, good athletic kid, but had never played in a meaningful game. And now he's out on the court for 6 minutes in the most important game of the year. And, to put somebody in that situation you don't really like to, I wouldn't have put him into that situation if I didn't have to. So it was like, okay, this is your opportunity. And the kid was unbelievable. He really won the game for us. He literally won the game. We had a very, very narrow lead. He got 2 loose balls. He got a rebound. And their All-American, who was, I think, the 10th or 11th pick in the draft this year, 6'5" jumper, he blocked his drive to the back. He blocked his layup when we had a 1-point lead. So to see something like that in coaching, to have a guy be able to come in and be prepared enough to do that is an unbelievable feeling. That was my best feeling of the whole game. That one play and a couple other little plays he made that you just don't expect somebody to be able to make in that situation. And I'm thrilled for him. He graduated. He's got a 5th year, and he's going to go play at Siena College, which is a very good Division I basketball school in Albany, so he'll get to play there. But that, to me, I think about that when I think about the season. I think about 6 guys, 3 guys that played 40 minutes every single game. Every single game they had to play 40 minutes. And you'd like your players to play 30, 31, 32 maybe, occasionally play 35, but to play 40 every game when you're playing 3 games a week. And remember in the tournament, because we just did sneak in, we had to qualify, go to Dayton on a Tuesday and play a play-in game, I think 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and then go to Detroit and play, I think it was a Friday night game against a really good team, and then play Sunday against Michigan State. So you're playing 3 games in about 8 days, less than 8 days, and your 3 guys are playing 40 minutes every game. So, this team accomplished way beyond anything. And that's what you'd like to do in life, in business, in life, whatever. You accomplish more than you really can do. Now, John Wooden was my favorite coach of all time. Maybe he won 10 national championships. But he said, they asked him after 1 year if they had overachieved, which everybody thought they did. He said, no. What do you mean? We achieved what we could achieve. And to really understand that statement is important, because people that set what you can achieve, they're the people with the pens and pencils. They should have stopped after 4th grade or whatever they were, 4 years old. They're making these predictions and they know nothing. They think they know something. And those are the most dangerous people in the world. But anyway, that's another speech. But you accomplish what you can accomplish as a team, as a group, as a business, and there is no limit to what you can accomplish. There absolutely is no limit. You see it every day in sports, almost every day. You'll see some team, some player, some individual that can rise to the occasion and do something no one thought could be done. No one thought could be. It happens in sports all the time. You can see it. And it can happen in anything. It can happen in anything. It's the right people that work together and have the right goal, the right program. All that stuff has to be in place. But anything is possible. And that's what I've learned in 50 years involved in the game of basketball. We took over an Olympic team that couldn't beat anybody. And in 7 different world events, we won 88 games and we lost 1. We lost 1. And that was in the very first year when LeBron was just a baby. But we knew after that year that he and the other guys would never let that happen again. We would never lose again. And we never did. And we won 3 Olympics and 2 world championships. And we have the best players, but we had the best players before that, and we lost the Olympics and lost the world championship. So there's nothing given. Nothing is guaranteed, even when you have the best players. But if you get them working in the right direction, with the right purpose, then that's possible. But that was an unbelievable experience for me. You're coaching the very best players in the world. It's a little disappointing sometimes when I come back and see my players the first day. When you have LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Kobe Bryant, Chris Paul, you get a little spoiled. My favorite, the most important thing I did with that Olympic team was go like this. Nice play. Nice play, LeBron. But no, it's I've been very blessed to be able to be here in Syracuse, close to where I grew up, and to come here as a walk-on. That's somebody without a scholarship, basically, that people don't think is good enough to get a scholarship, and get a scholarship after a year and kind of work my way in. I remember when I was a sophomore, I was getting ready. It was before the season, and one of my best friends at the time said, "What did you come here for? You know, you were the 8th guy on the freshman team. Why did you come to Syracuse? You could have played someplace else." I said, "Well, I'm going to play here." You know, and of course that guy is still a friend of mine. I remind him of that statement every single time I see him. But there is no limit on what you can do. Not, absolutely none. But to be able to play here, to be an assistant coach here, and then become the head coach here, and be able to stay here for all these years, I've just been, you can't be any luckier than that. And this year, we have, for the first time in, 20 years, we have everybody back. We've kind of lost some guys a little early, prematurely, the last few years that probably hurt our regular season, but we overcame it in the tournament. But with everybody coming back, we've added some players. So I think, obviously, as a coach, you learn never to predict things because that'll be the first thing they bring up. At this conference, you said no, but you're always concerned about your players and their parents, what they think. And we have a player this year that if his mother isn't happy, I'm not going to be very happy either. Like a bad night, if you can change the locks before I get home, they will be changed. But we got a great group. We were primarily a great defensive team all last year, and very, very, very iffy on offense. That's what really cost us. The difference at the end of the year, we had a freshman, Marek Dolage. I just learned how to pronounce his name this week, actually. But he couldn't shoot the ball, and normally that's a pretty bad affliction. But about halfway through the year, you always try to change shots and work with guys like if you're golfers, you try to change your swing and you get a lesson, right? And it's good right there, right? And then the next day you go out on your own, it lasts about a hole, and then you're right back where you were. But we changed the shot. He started to make shots, and we won at Miami and we won at Louisville because he was making shots. Everybody else played the same, but he started to make shots. Wake Forest he made shots against Arizona State. That's how we kept winning, because everything else stayed really the same. But his improvement was the difference in our team. And he still weighs 100. Well, he did lose a pound this summer. He's down to 172, which isn't ideal. But he's like I tell people, he's a strong 172. But, having him back and all these guys back, and then we added offensive players. The guys that we had sitting out, Elijah Hughes, and a couple of the young guys we're bringing in are very good offensive players. So we will be better offensively. We just got to be able to continue, play the same kind of defense. So it should be a great year. You're always looking forward to it, but you never know what's going to happen with a team. Last year we probably didn't think we'd even get in the tournament, and then you're one of the last 16 teams in the country, which is not easy to do. It's really hard. Virginia's been the best team for 4 years in the ACC, the best team. They won it 3 times. They were second once, but they were really the best team that year, and they haven't gone to the Final Four. And, that's just what happens in the tournament. Just crazy stuff happens. Everybody has players. There's a lot of good players out there. And you have one little bit of an off night, you go home. That's just the way it works. And it's why having everything on a one-game situation. In business, usually you don't have to, if you have one bad day, you can recover, mostly, for the most part. But in the tournament and college basketball, you can't have a bad day at the wrong time. You can't recover from it. But, I'm happy to be here talking to you guys. Hope things come out of this. Some good comes out of this. I only invest in local things because I believe in Syracuse. And some of them have been good. Some of them we won't talk about here. I've always thought it's best to, invest your money in yourself and what you do. And so that's why I'm still coaching here after 43 years coming up. But thank you. Thank you. I'd be glad to take a couple questions if it's all right. I don't know what time constraint we're on. Tony, we okay? Got a minute or two? Got a couple minutes? Anybody got a... Yeah.
I think President Lamora might have something she wanted to say to you.
Oh, yeah.
Well, first of all, she's a lot smarter than I am, so I'm gonna listen. Thank you, President.
Coach Boeheim, Linda Lemira, how do you do, sir? It's an honor. It's an honor to have you on our campus. Coach, I think it was 1980 when Coach Thompson, who you revere, and we all do at this institution, as you know, we're a Jesuit institution, as is Georgetown. I indicated to the crowd that, you might think, you and your team might think, that we go to the Georgetown-Syracuse University game rooting for Georgetown.
You might think that.
However, the truth of the matter is, and I want you to hear it from me, that because they constantly remind us that we're so much younger than they are, and they're greater and more venerable, and I dare say, richer, we are thrilled every time you pound them.
Thank you. Well, there's two things I have to say there. Number one, I don't like Georgetown. In any way, shape, or form. We act like we're friendly. We shake hands. We don't like each other. But the second thing is, I know one thing, that Lemoyne's probably got that Syracuse banner hanging around here from when we lost to Lemoyne. I know that's around. I'm a little worried because we're opening up early this year with Lemoyne, so I'm going to be very careful. But that was the last time we played man-to-man, too. I remember coming to Lemoyne when I played. We used to come over and scrimmage against Lemoyne's players, and I used to come to the games over here for many years when I was an assistant coach. And they've always had great basketball, and you got a great basketball coach here now, and I hope you have a great year this year. I would like to wonder why the Post-Standard can't cover Lemoyne basketball. I mean, that's just one more thing I can say about that. I'd like to say something good, but there really isn't. Yes, sir, right in the back.
So, Coach, how do you advise your players to stay calm under pressure? And what about yourself? How do you stay calm under pressure?
Well, you're always, you do it for 42 years, you do get a little bit calmer, but it's what you do. It's like they say, well, how can Tiger Woods make a 4-foot putt? Well, he can't now, but he used to. How does he make a 4-foot putt to win a tournament when, we wouldn't be able to even hit it? Well, that's what he does. That's what he's been trained to do all his life. Our players have been trained to be basketball players. My son played countless AU games all the way through high school, 100 AU games in the summertime, the 30 during the regular season. Constant practice, constant situations where you're putting yourself in those situations. And eventually you get to where you understand this is what you do. And remember, the guy you're playing against is in the same position. He has the same pressures that you have. So, you just understand that. And as a coach, you coach the game all your life. And you have to try to do certain things. Some work, some don't. When we run a play at the end of the game and it works, everybody's happy. We run the same play and it doesn't work, no one's happy. I always think going out of that building, well, you made 28,000 people unhappy tonight. All the bars, all the restaurants are mad at me when we lose because everybody just goes home. And when we win, they stay around and celebrate for a couple hours. The one thing I can tell you from Coach, I'm trying. When I'm trying hard. I'm trying harder than you are. And the other thing I'll tell you, especially the guys that watch our games, I can't hear you when you're yelling at your TV. How many guys in here, huh? Come on. When you're sitting up in the stands among the 28, I can't hear you there either. So, and as my wife will tell you, I don't listen anyway. You know, Marv Levy said it best. When you start listening to the fans, you'll be sitting with them. Buddy, I can't predict that one right now. Until Tyus Battle came back, he was going to play a lot. Now it's going to be lady right there.
Hi, thanks. Kate Rodak, first a longtime mentor here, so it's awesome that you've come. It's a great full room. So I'm curious about your investments. I know you don't want to talk about some.
Yeah, I invested in student housing at Syracuse, one that's up and one that's going up right now. And Hoffman's Hot Dogs, local company, invested in there. Galaxy radio station, we just trying to buy that away from some hedge fund guys in New York City. So it'd be locally owned, all locally owned people. Those are, I think, the main things that I've invested in lately. Yes, in the back.
Coach, besides physical ability, what's the single most important characteristic you look for in players?
Well, I think you try to, the mental toughness that some guys have, you know, Jerry McNamara, the great ones all have it. Jerry's one that I use an example because he's a good player. He's 6'1", he's a slow white guy. He's not, but he played at the highest level. He came out as a freshman in the national championship game, made 6 threes in the first half. Some guys have it. Some guys have the mental toughness, the ability to go out there and do that. Other guys don't have it. They're talented. They may be good. They may be very talented. They may not have that toughness. You know, the two toughest I've ever seen, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant came with us after we lost in the first World Championship in 06, came in 07, and from the first day he was at practice, he pushed LeBron and Carmelo and Chris Paul, all those young guys, he pushed them to the limit the first day. The first day he came in, he went after everybody. 100% summertime practice, worked out in the morning, came to practice, shot, came back and played at night. Did that every night. And he pushed those guys and got us going. And when it was a close game in 08 for our first Olympic medal, it was a 2-point game. Kobe Bryant took the ball and made 2 plays. LeBron was young, he was watching, but he never touched the ball. Kobe Bryant took the ball and made the 2 plays to win the first gold medal. And then LeBron learned from that, and in 12, he made the plays. But the toughness that you have as a player it's hard to find, but it's what makes the difference. Because a lot of players have talent. Our last year team was pretty tough-minded. They were pretty tough guys. They hung in there. When you lose a lot during the regular season, you're able to all of a sudden get there and then play that well in the tournament. That's not that easy. You're coming in there as a big underdog and not thinking, people not thinking much of you. So mental toughness, that's what's really separates basketball, especially it works in golf, it works in tennis. You look, I've met Serena Williams. She's just a tough-minded. She's talented, but she's just tougher-minded than everybody else. That's why she wins. One more.
Hi, Coach. Tim Winter with Lot Like. I'm a big college basketball fan. And you missed the last great player from Glens Falls. Are you going to get the next one, Joe Clark?
I don't know. I don't know. Jimmy Fredette was a great player, but he's a Mormon too, so we didn't miss him. He went right where he was going to go all along. But no, I don't know. I can't talk about recruits anyway. So, we try to get the best players we can get. We've already got a commitment from a great point guard for next year. So, I figure if I'm going to coach, I want to get some good players here. So I'm going to coach for a while. I'm not even talking about retirement anymore because if I just say like I'm thinking I'm like looking forward to playing golf, I mean this summer. I don't mean next year, But we've had a great run. The one thing that's it's under, people just don't understand sometimes here that outside people understand. You know, we have parkings for about 800 cars, and it's just 10 degrees or worse, and there's 3 foot of snow on the ground, and we're playing in the dome, and it's on TV. We're going to get 28,000 people there for a big game. And I don't think that can be exaggerated, how important, how much that means, and how difficult that is to get that kind of attendance in a town where there is just no parking, and it's impossible to get there almost. And that's why I am so appreciative of being the coach here and having the people, the fans that we have. And it's, you know, I'll put up with those people that write. You know, I'll put up with that for that. Thank you. Thanks for having me.